What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be ranking my top 10 best episodes of The Flash. But of course, before we get started, make sure that you guys like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment any other video suggestions for me. So coming in at number 10, I have Season 1, Episode 17, titled Tricksters. Now, this episode is actually, severely underrated. I really like this episode. For one, Mark Hamill as the Trickster is absolutely perfect. I really love his role as the Trickster in this episode. But the main thing that was, in my opinion, the best part of the episode was all the Reverse Flash origin stuff we got. Because I really wish we've, sometime in Season 1 got, a Reverse Flash origin episode about how he actually became who he is, how he got his speed, about all that stuff. So I'm really excited. I'm really happy that we got to see somewhat of that in this episode, and just everything else in this episode was great as well. The dynamic between Barry and Henry Allen is just great. So yeah, this episode definitely deserves to be number 10. So coming in at number 9, I have Season 2, Episode 9, titled Running to Stand Still. Now, here's the thing about this episode. This Zoom barely appeared in this episode at all, and obviously he was the main villain of The Flash Season 2. However, it's surprising how good this episode is without Zoom even being in it, because, we have Captain Cold, we have the Trickster, and, of course, we have Weather Wizard all in this episode. And I just felt like that was, really, Rogues type episode, and it sort of reminded me of the comics, and I really enjoyed that in this episode specifically. So coming in at number 8, I have Season 1, Episode 9, titled The Man in the Yellow Suit. Now, of course, in this episode, we have probably one of the coolest reveals, coolest main villain reveals ever in the Arrowverse, and that is, of course, when Harrison Wells reveals that he is the Reverse Flash, of course, just to the audience, not to Team Flash. But that was still really cool to see. We see Barry face Reverse Flash a couple of times, and just all those flashbacks of Barry's mother getting killed when he was a kid. All that stuff was just great in this episode. So yeah, the first confrontation between the Flash and the Reverse Flash was in this episode, and I think it was a great episode to start out with. So at number 7, I have Season 1, Episode 20, titled The Trap. Now, of course, this is the episode where Barry, Cisco, and Caitlin, Joe, all them, they try to trap Harrison Wells when they figure out that he's the Reverse Flash, after they go into the time vault and find out that, Barry's supposed to vanish in 2024. They find out that, Dr. Wells is the Reverse Flash. They found out that he's from the future, all that stuff. So yeah, this is the episode where they try to trap him, and of course, it doesn't exactly go their way, and then Dr. Wells reveals that he's the Reverse Flash to Team Flash, which is just absolutely awesome. This episode was so intense, and that's definitely why it deserves to be on the top 10 list. So at number 6, I have Season 1, Episode 23, titled Fast Enough. This episode is absolutely amazing. This is when Barry goes back in time and sees his mother die. He also sees the original timeline Flash, which was absolutely insane. I really love that scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in the entire show. We also had a Reverse Flash versus the Flash, their final battle of the season in this episode, which I think was just great. Us finally getting to see, Reverse Flash's plan, what all he wanted for Barry in the season, telling him that he wanted him to only get his speed just so that Reverse Flash could end up going home. All that was just great, and I think this is a lot higher on top 10 lists than I definitely see people put it. However, I still think some people, they put it number 10 or number 9, but I think it's definitely better than that. So at number 5, I have Season 2, Episode 23, titled The Race of His Life. Now, this episode, I believe, is the best season finale of The Flash. There's just one tiny part that I sort of liked and also sort of didn't like, was that they locked Barry up in this episode for a little while. And I understand that, but I also don't understand it. I didn't exactly like that part. But everything else about this episode, I believe, was an absolute 10 out of 10. The rivalry for Barry versus Zoom is absolutely amazing in this episode. And, of course, the cliffhanger for this episode, even though it didn't pay off as, how we all wanted it to, it was still amazing. That, of course, was Barry going back in time and saving his mother from the Reverse Flash. All of that was just absolutely amazing in this episode. So this episode, I definitely think, deserves to be in the top 5. So at number 4, I have Season 6, Episode 7, titled The Last Temptation of Barry Allen. This episode is absolutely amazing. This episode really showed how threatening of a villain Ramsey actually is, or Bloodwork, whatever you want to call him. I also really like this episode because of all the Crisis on Infinite Earths talk. All that was just absolutely amazing. Barry trying to fight this infection of Ramsey while the Speed Force is also trying to keep Barry sane, I think is actually genius. I really like how they did that. I also really like all the hallucinations that Ramsey makes Barry see. All that was really entertaining and just fun to watch. And then, of course, the ending when Ramsey gets Barry to bend to his will, and then Barry ends up turning into the negative Flash. So I think all of that was just amazing. And yeah, this episode's it's just a 10 out of 10. This episode is amazing. So at number 3, I have Season 2, Episode 6, titled Enter Zoom. This episode right here, I did not expect to be this high at all. It's amazing. This episode is absolutely amazing. Zoom ended up breaking Barry's back when Barry, he was all confident, thinking that he could easily defeat Zoom, but Zoom it was just a game to Zoom. This was easy for him, and this just really showed how threatening of a villain Zoom ended up being, and just how scary and just everything like that. It was just so amazing to see Zoom finally on the show, and I really liked how they executed that in this episode. So at number 2, I have Season 4, Episode 15, titled Enter FLASHTIME. This episode is it's so unique, and it's not like any other episode we've ever seen on The Flash. First and foremost, the concept of Barry being able to freeze time by going so fast, obviously we've been introduced to that, but we've never seen an episode where they did it for the entire episode, and they obviously did that in this episode, which I think is just genius. I don't know why they don't do that again. I feel like that would just be such an entertaining episode. And on top of that, you had speedsters return, such as Jay Garrick, Jesse Quick. All that stuff was just great to see. And Jesse Quick, she was a much better character in this episode than I believe she was in Season 3, in my opinion. So yeah, this episode, Enter FLASHTIME, is one of the more unique episodes, and I really think it was one of the best episodes of The Flash. Now, guys, before we go into number 1, I want to give a quick honorable mention. That would be to Season 7, Episode 18. Yes, I know you guys, you're saying, why do you have a single Season 7 episode in this list? Now, here's the thing about this episode. I absolutely love how many speedsters were in it. This episode, I think, was actually really, really good. You had Godspeed, who, besides, the lightsaber battle and stuff, which, I didn't hate that. I didn't exactly like it either, but it's, it's not bad. Besides all that, I think Godspeed was an insanely threatening villain, and even in the lightsaber battle, you could see that, Godspeed could easily defend both Barry and Thawne. Godspeed was so threatening in this last episode, I felt like. I just wish they really made more episodes with the real Godspeed as the main villain. But of course, besides that, you had Reverse Flash return. You had Impulse, aka Bart Allen. You had Nora West Allen, Jay Garrick, the Speed Force. There's a lot of speedsters that appeared in this episode, and I really think that makes this at least an honorable mention. And of course, at number 1 is Season 1, Episode 15, titled Out of Time. This episode is basically perfect. I think this episode was executed absolutely perfect. You had Barry time traveling for the first time, trying to stop Martin's tidal wave, which was probably the most intense scene. That just had you at the edge of your seat just watching the episode. That was just absolutely amazing. That's one of the best scenes in all the Flash. I definitely have to say that. And then of course the episode and the scene where Reverse Flash reveals himself as Harrison Wells and then ends up killing Cisco. I think that's also one of the best scenes in the Flash ever. Barry time traveling for the first time, as I said before, is just absolutely amazing. And yeah, this episode I think was pretty much perfect. But anyways, I'd say that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment your thoughts on this video down below, as well as your own list of your top 10 best Flash episodes. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.